My role as Operations Section Chief is it's basically developing the overall strategy for the fire and then coordinating all the operational resources for the ground tactics as well as the air. A little history on the fire. The fire started on June 4th from a lightning strike. The local forest ordered up initial attack of the first in resources. They flew in late that evening, late afternoon that first day, and started to initial attack the fire. Now that was helicopter resources. 2 folks were brought in on the fire. They started suppression, sized it up, ordered more resources. So they ordered the local hotshot crew, and they came in to also IA the fire. That fire, they put the perimeter control lines around that fire at a size of about 4 acres. So even though this fire started in the wilderness, it was a full suppression fire from the minute the first firefighters got there. The forest gave us special permissions to use chainsaws, even dozers in the wilderness to gain full suppression on this fire. And then from that point on was basically trying to hold their lines and mop up the fire. And for the next several days, that was the normal progression. For June 7th, interior pockets on that fire inside that 4 acres, torched some trees and threw spots across the line. More resources were ordered. The following day, on June 8th, they ordered a Type 3 incident management team. The weather that day caused the fire to make a significant run. At that time, a higher level complexity team was going to be ordered, and in just a short period of time, based on the fire behavior, they went ahead and ordered a Type 1 incident management team. The fire grew about to 15,000 acres, and on that second day, June 8th, another 10,000 acres, so we were looking at around 25,000 acres. So the first thing we were looking at was the need for night shift resources, what we were going to need to be on this fire through the night, and then the leadership for that. So we immediately started gathering resources. Just like we were traveling to this fire, so was a lot of the ground resources, the engines, the crews. They were all also coming. So we were our first deal was to get a handle on those, how many of those resources were coming in, and put those resources, organize them into night shifts to provide structure protection for the night shift. That was our primary concern. Immediate concern was to get night shift resources in place, because everybody up to that point in time, had been on this fire for nearly 36 hours. And we look at maps, where the fire is at currently, where the fire is going, just the potential that this fire has, and then we understand the magnitude, the number of homes that are not only currently involved, the number of subdivisions, the threats to the larger population, the city, and then just the size of the fire. We have to start prioritizing. What are the most critical areas we need to be in? There's a lot of things happening. There's local agencies that are involved in the evacuation. All the local law enforcement are doing what they can do to safely evacuate people, so there's a lot going on there. There's also local fire departments that are doing what they can do, saving homes and saving people, safety for people. That's an extremely taxing responsibility with departments on a fire this magnitude. So that's some of the first things we do, is see what they're doing and helping them, because they know the area, they're engaged, they're already being successful. We just want to take what they're doing and increase the ability for that success. Fire behavior changes as it moves through different vegetation types, out of the timber, out of the high elevation into the lower grasslands, pinyon, juniper. That's a different suppression tactic. We knew we could get in there with engines and dozers, not necessarily crews. There was a large number of dozers, 15 dozers ordered up right away to start being successful on control lines in those areas and keeping the fire out as many homes as possible. Worked all night with the dozers that first night, putting in as much dozer line as possible. I think within just a few days we had nearly 25 miles of dozer line in, and within just 2 days was able to have containment in and around most of the subdivisions and homes where the fire was burning immediately. The next thing was to look at where the fire was moving, the rest of the fire and future threats. And the threat to the village of Ruidoso became our next priority. One of the difficult decisions to make in the operations role is where to allocate resources, because you see homes that are in front of the fire in imminent danger, likely to be burned. But it's where to allocate. We have to allocate our resources where they're going to be successful. And sometimes homes are in heavy timber, top of ridges, tops of canyons, long narrow roads where we just can't get resources in there. And just the fire's moving too fast, too hot. To have to make decisions to not put resources in those areas where we're not going to be successful, knowing what the outcome's going to be, losing homes. It's difficult decisions, but we need to allocate our resources where they're going to be successful. And, you know, early on, there wasn't a lot of good news as far as containment on this fire. But as the week progressed and the work on the ground was being accomplished, and we could report more containment, and we'd show that on the maps, and you know, you could see the stress level go down. But even day one, when we first were here, and there was a lot of stress, every day at the end of those meetings, folks would come up and say thank you. And I know that when they tell me thank you, it's not me, it's to the firefighters on the ground, the ones on the crews and the engines and the dozers. But you can see in their eyes that there's hope, and you bring a little bit of that for them. You know, one of the phases of the fire that we're in now, after we start getting containment, control of certain parts of the fire, we can start letting folks back in their homes. Now, we make a recommendation to the sheriff's office that we think that an area is safe and that we have that fire under control, and then they'll work on the re-entry and getting folks back into their homes. It's not the same as it was when they left, and we understand that, and we want to get folks back in as soon as we can, but at the same time, we need to provide safety, and that safety comes from making sure this fire's not going to get up and move anymore. They also need to be concerned with trees that have burned. Fire-weakened trees, they fall down, and they fall down without any notice. They can fall down in your yard where you're standing, they can fall on your house, on your vehicle, so you really have to assess that. Stump holes are another thing that's hidden. It looks like level ground, but where that stump burned out underground and it's just loose ash, it's still hot. It can still be hot, and you can go knee-deep, waist-deep within one step, and it's hard to get out of that. That's that's hot coals, and so it could be hazardous. We can do a lot as firefighters to contain a fire, to control a fire, save as many homes as possible, but we still can't do everything. There's a lot of homes in the footprint of this fire, and we don't have that many resources or the kind of time to do everything at once with a fire moving this fast. So the places we can be most successful are homes that are defendable, and it's based on location, construction of the home. Simple things can save a home just by paying attention to what embers could land on and ignite things. Embers can land on wooden decks, embers can land on wood piles, on wooden fences that are all adjacent to your home. Just a fire flaming front hitting a home is not necessarily what catches a home on fire. So homes that can do things ahead of time to help be more defensible will help us be a lot more successful.